On this afternoon's Agri-Business Noon Show here on Sports Radio 1450, Steve Bridge along with you, and three guests in studio today. It is FFA week, and we have more than half of the state officer team along with us here to discuss what's been going on with them, what's going on in this week. Chris Steppig is here, the reporter. Jim Tobin is here, vice president, and Clayton Carley is the treasurer. All joining us. Just missed out on Jacob Meiser and Mike Shively, the secretary and president. They're off doing other FFA week duties around the state, but glad to have our three guys here today. Gentlemen, thanks for being here.
Thank you. It's quite an honor.
Yep, thank you.
Well, as this week is a little bit underway now here, we'll start with Jim. What have you guys been doing, spreading the message of FFA and kind of been bouncing around the state as you always do?
Yeah, this week is pretty much a big week for us in the FFA organization. You know, schools all over the state have different activities to try to recruit new members, acknowledge the members that they've got, maybe educate younger students or even school administration, community members, whatever. So our job this week is basically to go wherever we're wanted and help out those chapters be able to do their FFA week activities.
What have some of the chapters been calling on you guys, Jim, to do?
Well, we don't get too far away from Springfield just for a time sake wise, but tomorrow I'll be going over to the Sullivan FFA chapter to help them out with a petting zoo. Today Mike's over in Cuba, so we've got a couple, not necessarily local chapters, but closer, Central Illinois chapters that we're trying to help out as much as we can.
Chris, as your years continued on as reporter with the FFA, and this week probably pretty important because really one of the things that the state officers do is get out and try to talk as many broadcasters and farm media members as possible.
Yep, and as a reporter, that's been my job for the last couple of weeks, was lining up a couple interviews for radio stations. I wrote a couple articles promoting FFA Week and just trying to get the word out there about FFA Week, about membership, and about the ag industry.
So as you start to talk to people about FFA that maybe aren't necessarily tied into agriculture, do you ever bust any myths or kind of shed a little bit of a truer light on what the organization is about that maybe those not involved or never been around it kind of don't understand what's going on here?
Yeah, definitely. And I think personally, I kind of broke that stereotype being from a non-production agriculture background. I grew up in a subdivision, and as long as I can just travel across the state and tell kids that that's my story and that now I've come through the ranks as a chapter officer and am now a state officer, just trying to make them more comfortable with their role as FFA members, I think that is a great promotional tool.
Probably, too, making those connections when you're not from a farm, Chris, a good way to help grow the membership of FFA?
Yes, definitely. Because I saw a statistic yesterday that only about 10% of FFA members come from a production background.
So young members like you and others that are out there, I mean, that's really, kind of the backbone and the lifeblood of what you can get out of the organization.
Yeah, definitely. And you've got to keep in mind we're all about premier leadership, personal growth, and career success.
Clayton, as treasurer this year, what have some of your duties been, and how have you been enjoying your year as a state officer?
Well, it's been an awesome year so far, and also working a lot with the finances. I mean, we've got a pretty decent-sized organization to run with over 17,000 FFA members across the state of Illinois. We've got a lot of responsibilities to look forward to. But being a treasurer, it's not just about the money. We also serve the same duty as the other officers in going out and promoting FFA. Being with the chapter members, last night several of us just went up to the Southeastern FFA chapter, and we were with them at their chapter meeting last night. It was a great time to have by all, and I really enjoy being able to go out and, like Chris said, going out and promoting FFA, and I'm kind of proud to be part of that 10% that is from the production background. And just like our team here, we've got about half our team is split for production to non-production, and it's really interesting to see how agriculture is crucially important in urban and rural areas across the state.
We talked a little bit about the finances. You're the treasurer. You guys do kind of have jobs and responsibilities to make sure this organization runs.
That we do. We got a lot of stuff that we go on. It's kind of difficult at the state level. We have our FFA Foundation, which we help raise funds for. And our FFA Foundation is what provides a lot of the plaques, the awards, and the awards to the chapter levels for what they're able to succeed and do. And they also allow us state officers to travel around the state and to be able to promote agriculture. So the foundation is kind of our financial backbone at the state level, as long as with our state FFA alumni. They help provide a lot of support. But the support that a lot of people around the state can give the greatest benefit to is at the chapter level. Supporting those chapters, if they have auctions or collection drives or just small fundraisers, being able to help a chapter out might be able to provide a student to be able to go to a leadership camp or to a conference to be able to help them promote their leadership skills and develop other things. So there's a lot of great ways that people can get involved at the chapter level to help out their local members as well.
Clayton, did you benefit from some of those chapter level events when you were going through Cissna Park?
I sure did. Going through the Crescent Iroquois High School and then Cissna Park my senior year, we always had a scholarship auction. And because of that auction, I was able to help offset some of my college expenses. And I was also able to go to Washington, D.C. on a scholarship that my chapter gave me. And without that help from the local members and the local community, my chapter wouldn't be able to be near as successful as it is.
Clayton, you mentioned that you're one of the members is from a production ag background. Tell us a little bit about the operation you come from.
Well, I come from a medium-sized family farm up in rural Iroquois County around the Crescent City area. And we grow production corn, soybeans, and we've done some wheat before as well. And then I also raise about 6 acres of sweet corn in my sweet corn shack. It's a business that I started my freshman year. Yeah, Mom wasn't too excited when I ripped up some of the front yard, but it turned out to be a pretty great opportunity. Now I'm employing a student, and hopefully I'll be employing 2 more next year.
Really?
And I've got 2 roadside stands and some contracts with some local groceries. But, I mean, without the FFA and the hands-on activity that I've learned in the classroom, and my teachers taught me the business and accounting skills, I mean, with the FFA and the education through agricultural education, I've truly been able to succeed with my business that I started.
Are we getting that sweet corn delivered down here this year?
Yeah, we might be able to. I might
Okay.
be able to run some down to the office.
Very good. You guys have been all over the place. You're all over the state every really day of the year. As we know, a couple of the other state officers aren't able to be here. But Jim, you guys, the group recently, about a month or so ago, returned from China. Tell us a little bit about that trip and what you experienced.
Yeah, the 5 of us joined about 60 or so other state officers from all around the country, and we went over with National FFA on a 10-day trip to not only learn about agriculture in China, but to kind of get a glimpse into their culture and into their daily life too. So it was definitely an eye-opening experience for all of us. First time overseas for a lot of us, first time on a plane for some of us in the group, and we had a great time. Like I said, absolutely eye-opening and amazing to see how similar they were, but how extreme some of the differences were too. It was definitely a great experience.
Clayton, they looked at you and they said, "First time on a plane." Was it your first time or not?
No, I've flown
Okay.
multiple times before. I
Okay.
believe it was Jacob's first
Yep,
time that
yep.
he'd been on an airplane.
And you guys can speak for him, but also for yourself, Chris. Everyone really enjoyed that trip, and was it okay for Jacob to be in that little tin can for about 12 hours on the way over?
Oh yeah, both of us live pretty close to the St. Louis area, so we both flew out of St. Louis together to get to Los Angeles, and then we flew over to China. So it was kind of fun to be his travel guide for that first 4-hour flight to LA.
Obviously, the trip to China is going to stand out as maybe kind of one of the real special things that happened to you during your tenure as a state officer. Have there been other things, maybe little things that have just happened along the way, Chris, that you can think of that you'll really want to take and remember from this year that is still ongoing up until state convention?
Yeah, aside from traveling to China, just traveling across the state and meeting all the members, getting to develop those relationships and making that connection between us and those chapter members.
What about you, Clayton?
Well, every fall we do what we call chapter visits. And being able to do chapter visits, the 5 of us split out between the 25 sections in Illinois, and we were able to visit every single school that has an FFA program here in Illinois. And probably one of the greatest memories that I came back without a chapter visits was I was visiting a school over in Calhoun County, and one of the FFA members who had some mental issues and wasn't quite there, but he had just gotten his first FFA jacket. And he was so excited to be able to put on that blue corduroy jacket, and I got to see him put it on there, and it was just so heartwarming that everyone is able to be a part of agriculture, no matter what their background is or what they're capable of. Anyone can participate in some way, shape, or form, and be able to see that and see how excited he was to be part of our organization. It was just truly gratifying to me to know that everyone can be involved.
Memories stand out for you, Jim?
Well, like Clayton said, chapter visits were a great time, and I actually was fortunate enough to go into the Chicagoland area for one of my weeks of visits. And I don't come from a production ag background myself, but there's still quite a stark difference between Farmer City area and downtown Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really interesting to see how the urban chapters run and what the outlook of the students up there are. They're just as committed to the agricultural cause and to being a part of the industry, just in a little bit different way, shape, and form.
So, Jim, what is left for you guys as state officers? Obviously planning the state convention, but we're almost into the month of March now. What else is on the way?
Well, we convention is probably the biggest thing on our radar. We got the big show coming up in June, the 12th through the 14th, right here in Springfield. But up until then, we're getting a lot of stuff lined out for that, and we've got a lot of chapter banquets coming up on the horizons, a lot of different state events held throughout the state. Hopefully get to see as many members as we can in the few months we've got left.
Chris, competition, state degrees, everything's still moving forward, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yep, that's going to be getting pretty heavy here. We'll be waiting on receiving some of those applications and can't wait to get to some of those state competitions as well.
Clayton, as moms and dads or members of the FFA are listening right now, and as they might be thinking about what their son or daughter can do or should do in FFA, words of encouragement for them to let those young people take advantage of everything?
Yeah, the biggest advice I have to say is just don't be afraid to get involved. I mean, when I was a freshman, I was the type of kid that just sat in the corner of the room and didn't want to do too much. And for me, when I finally decided to take that step and decide to get involved, it was just a whole new world of opportunity was open up to me. Like this year, our state theme of Miles of Opportunity is so true because there are so many opportunities that FFA has available for students. I mean, anything that you want to participate in is another opportunity for you to get involved. And just think of it kind of like an investment that you're making in your life with FFA. The more you get involved, the more return you're going to get on it later on in life through the public speaking skills, abilities to be able to work with people, and just knowledge that you're able to learn in the classroom and in competitions as well. So I definitely would have to say to get involved and not be afraid of being able to step out of your comfort zone a little bit and try some new things in FFA.
Jim, the staff there at the office here in Springfield with Frank Dry and Jim Kraft and others supportive for you guys, and great to have them right by your side this year.
Oh, yeah, we can't thank them enough for all of their support, the folks that work at the office and the folks that work all over the state that help us do what we do, whether it is Mr. Kraft or Mr. Dry as our executive and associate executive secretaries, or Mr. Hepner working down at the State Board of Education for us, or any of the office ladies, or any of the FCAE directors throughout the state, or anybody else that helps us do our jobs throughout the year. We're definitely a lot more effective in our roles because of all the support and help we get from them.
So, Jim, when this has to come to an end this summer, what will be next for you?
Well, this summer I'm trying to line up a internship or two out of Washington, D.C. to go out and try to get my hands on some of the Farm Bill stuff for this summer. After that, probably be going to the University of Illinois or to Southern Illinois University to study agricultural education.
Chris, what are your plans?
Well, I was kind of in the same boat as Jim, hopefully looking to get an internship out in Washington, D.C., working on that Farm Bill. But if not, I will be staying back in Waterloo, hanging out with a couple friends, possibly traveling a little bit more. And then after that, I'll be headed to the University of Illinois to join my twin brother.
Really? You have a twin brother?
I do indeed.
And now why was he involved in FFA with you?
He was. Our senior year, we were actually chapter officers together.
Very good. You just continued on with it a little bit. Now,
Yep.
A lot of you guys do give up a year, kind of your freshman year in college. You delay it a bit. You don't give it up, but you delay it.
Mm-hmm.
Was it difficult for you, Chris, at all to realize that you wouldn't be going through that freshman year with someone, as important to you as your twin?
Yes, definitely. It wasn't enough that he was born 2 minutes ahead of me. Now he's got to be a year ahead of me in school.
You graduate before you. You get a lot of summer school and stuff to get done so you can catch up with them if you want to.
It'll take some hard work to get caught up, that's for sure.
And Clayton, what's up for you?
Well, I definitely hope to continue my business with the Sweet Corn Shack, hopefully getting a couple more students involved with that, working for me. But then once fall starts back up, I'll be joining back to the University of Illinois and Parkland College, dual enrolled in the Pathways program. It's an awesome opportunity to take classes at both schools, and I'll be double majoring in agronomy with plant genetics and biotechnology and agricultural education. So look forward to jumping back into my sophomore year there back at those schools.
They are three members of the state officer team here for the FFA. Chris Steppig, the reporter, Jim Tobin, vice president, Clayton Carley, the treasurer, Jacob Meisner is the secretary, Mike Shively, president. They were out on other FFA duties today and could not join us here on Sports Radio 1450, but these guys were able to stop by during FFA week. Thank you for being here, guys.
Thanks for having us, Steve.
Time to head to the break. More of The Farm Show is next here on Sports Radio 1450.